On today's show.
I think this tour is gonna be really epic and really 신나는 느낌이 더 있을 것 같은데. The last tour was really intimate and cozy vibe, right? But this tour is gonna be like more festival vibe.
This is K-Rockcast, the podcast where music and perspectives collide.
I'm Anne, a music lover who's the ultimate fan.
And I'm Kelly, a professional musician. Join us as we dive into the world of the Rose and other Korean and Asian rock bands.
Sometimes we'll agree, sometimes we'll wildly disagree, but what's guaranteed is a passionate, hilarious, and unfiltered conversation about the music that unites us and the bands that inspire us. Everybody, we're back. This is a special Hot Takes episode called Into the Crystal Ball. And today, Kelly, we are digging into our theories and predictions on the Rose's upcoming tour, Rosetopia. And I'm excited because we have lots of really interesting theories and predictions as well from our viewers and our followers. Yeah. I had to laugh at this title. These are some of my favorite episodes, to be kind of honest, because we can be a little more creative in our titling. And I felt like I had to say crystal ball, because how many times throughout this podcast, we've been doing this a year and a half now, that we always say, like, I swear we're not witches, or you always say, I don't have a crystal ball.
I'm just going to admit everything to it now. I am a witch. I'll just admit to it. Yeah, let's just get it out there.
So I thought this would be fun as well, Kelly, to do this, because we're actually going to do an episode after the tour is over, and we're going to dig all into the tour. So if we do this prediction, what we can do in that episode is actually go back to this content and see if we were right or if we were wrong. So that'd be kind of fun. All right, so we're going to have a few key areas. Why don't we start, Kelly, with tour production? Tell us your theories on the production style of the tour. What do you think?
I think it's got to be a lot more stripped down to what we had for World, to be perfectly honest. I think World was something that it was beautiful in the way it was done, but for how much time they've had to get this together, whereas obviously for World they had a lot more time to develop the whole idea and get everything together. I think for this, they also don't have the backbone of James supporting them and getting people in to help with the actual tour production as well this time. So I think, I mean, for me, I think we're probably going to go back and probably see something that's more middle of the road, more sort of dusk to dawn style for on stage, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is going to be a much more scaled back, right? I mean, as you said, the stage itself for World was very intricate. And what that meant was they had 3 tractor trailers that, and when they flew, James Hill said 68 massive suitcases of just shit that they had to lug around. So I'm kind of with you. Like, I even think it's going to be a little bit smaller scale than Dawn to Dusk, because I think they kind of stepped up. You went to that show. I unfortunately didn't kind of follow them then, but it seemed like the production value of Dawn to Dusk had kind of gone up from like the Heal Together tour.
Yeah, it had. I mean, basically what they had was actually something very similar to what you saw in the video for brain's not working, Coachella. So you have the oval riser that they were all on, which has lights around it, and then they just had projections behind it. Now I can't see them going away and not using a projection and LCD screens at the back. I think they'll do that. I think that's just become part and parcel of their show. I think it will have Probably. I think it might be a little bit more like a documentary what they're showing at the back. I think we'll get more sort of the history of the rose in the background as snippets, probably not the animations that we've seen on previous tours. But I don't think we're going to have that full stage set. I don't think we're going to have a full stage show in the sense of how it was for World at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm actually thinking they might scale back to more like what the Heal Together tour was,
Yeah.
where I feel like it wasn't even quite the level of production they had with the Dawn to Dusk. Um, I like what you're saying. I think I'll say this a little bit in the set list section, but I think it is going to be a walk through our history.
Yeah.
It feels like what they put out with having Black Roses put together your memories and kind of what quote unquote Rosetopia has meant to you. That makes me feel like it is very nostalgic, and they're going to
Mm,
walk us down, through memory lane of them as a
yeah.
band. And then
Yeah.
I think they're going to pull as many of those submissions by Black Roses as possible and make it some sort of video loop that probably plays
Possibly.
while they're performing Blue Moon, which, I mean, good luck. I'm going to be just a wreck. Like, that's just going to be so,
See,
so
This,
heart
this,
wrenching.
this is when I know I'm cold and unfeeling. I was like, oh, okay, nice touch.
Oh, yeah. I think if you're like a hardcore fan, it's just going to rip your heart out seeing that. Plus if you get to how fun. Like I love these creative ideas because what every fan's going to be waiting for is to see your submission. Like you're going to be there being like, am I going to see myself on screen? And how amazing that feeling will be if you do see
Yeah.
yourself, up on the screen. So I think that was so creative. I like that they're doing that. I think it's fun on Bubble. Tay just confirmed in chat that he's going to use his red bass guitar, not the guitar from World that he created. And my theory is that Sam's going to use Skylar. Now, he had this white guitar that he has yet to tell us the name of, that he randomly used in the performance of Nebula on the Kelly
Mm.
Clarkson show, which I thought was so odd. And I was like, okay, is he like saying this is his next era guitar? But when he did his live stream from his house, that white guitar is at his Las Vegas house. You can see it in the background. But he mentioned that his other guitars were in Korea, and you don't see Skylar at his house. So I'm thinking Skylar was probably in Korea, which means he's probably practicing with her. And that means the Skylar's going to go on tour. So that's my prediction, I think, is he's going to stick with
Possibly. I mean,
Skylar.
musicians do take their instruments with them, so he may have taken the white guitar, unless, of course, you've got prior information of what's currently sat in his cave in his little rehearsal space at home. But but no,
No,
I
I'm
mean,
going off of what
he
he
could have
showed
taken
us.
it. Yeah, I mean, he could have
I'm going
taken
off
it
of what
with
he
him.
showed us before.
Yeah.
All right, why don't you go through some of the theories on the production from our followers? We got lots.
Yeah, we do. We seem to have loads and loads and loads. So we have got some that have come in from IG and also some from our Patreon as well. So Wusung's Wardrobe on IG said, I feel like the set is going to look like the streets of Hongdae, which is actually a really nice idea, sort of like to go back to the
I
busking.
love that.
Yeah.
I thought that was a creative idea.
Yeah, it would, but again, to make it look like the street, that is, we're talking backdrops and everything. So I don't know whether or not they've gone to that full sort of stage design level, but that's a lovely idea that if they have gone that way that
Maybe
route with it.
maybe combining your theory from before where they'll pull all that old footage that we know Dojun has of them when they were busking out in
Yeah.
Hyundai. And so in some of these early songs, like maybe that's what we'll see on the screens behind them.
I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if there's not clips from the documentary ping up, to be perfectly honest, as well. I could see
Yeah.
that possibly happening too. Ruby Benny on
Mhm.
IG said, high energy festival vibe. Lucky Piano Lover on IG said, I imagine them doing crowd surfing on stage or stage diving. Not really, but it's my dream.
I love
I
that submission, by the way.
I can't see any of them ever stage diving or, to be perfectly
What?
honest, crowd surfing.
Oh, I could.
I just don't think they've got it in them.
Oh. Oh, I totally could.
I also don't think it's safe, to be perfectly honest,
No, it's probably
because
not safe,
it's
but
not safe. It's not safe knowing half the women that are in the audience. I don't think that's safe at
Mm,
all.
that's true.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Unless, of
probably the
course,
most dangerous part.
that's definitely the most dangerous part, to be perfectly frank. Because yeah, well, let's not go there. Anyway, repping podcast. So our friend Evelyn said on IG, it's going to be a bunch of really hot guys on stage singing great music. I mean, that's a bit
Yeah,
of a cop out,
that's
really,
true.
isn't it? That one. Come on, Evelyn, you could have done better than that. So, right, then we'll look to our Patreon. So, Magda said, seems like they will go with a more high energy drive this time, possibly start the show with a bang, maybe a mix of old rockier songs with new ones. Ment's hopefully a little bit longer since it's once in a blue moon momentum. Simone T78 on Patreon said, an ethereal, emotional, and cinematic walk on clouds, and a celebration connecting their past and present before the hiatus. So I think that kind of goes back to what we were both thinking, that it's going to be, it's nostalgia central, isn't it, to be honest? The Rose Nuna on Patreon said, a party/festival feeling in a beautiful, bittersweet, dreamlike space setting. I like that idea.
Well, I like this. I kind of like this concept. Rose's Nuna says of maybe it's like this dreamscape space. It's kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
I kind of like that.
Hmm.
Lisa W on Patreon said, a party, yes, but intimate at the same time, with a simple stage and emotionally moving ments, and usually not exactly going as planned Rose moments. Well, we all know that's going to happen, don't we? That's one thing for sure.
Oh my gosh.
That is the one thing we do know. Something will go wrong. It will be the Rose. It's
Yes.
kind of expected.
Yes, totally. And they totally don't have much time to practice. Oh my God, the New York show, they're going to be so rusty. Wow. Wow is all I got to say.
Well, you say that. At least they'll hopefully get through that show. We don't know whether or not they'll be able to get through it when they get to London. And then Agatha on Patreon said, nostalgic festival vibe and a special moment tribute to the Black Roses.
Yeah. All right, let's dig into the set list now, Kelly. So I think we alluded to it in some of the submissions from our followers, and we kind of talked about this walk through memory lane. So I think there's obviously going to be this combination of older songs and newer songs. Hajun just recently confirmed on Bubble that Time is back in the set list. I have this campaign that I hope Cure is on there
God,
because
yes.
that's such a great song.
Cure is one of my favorite. In fact, it's top 3. Cure is up there. It is one of my favorite songs. Yeah, definitely.
And they actually did not even play it much during the sound check on the world tour.
Wow.
So it needs resurgence. And it's kind of this festival vibe, right? A lot of people, Hajun has said this is going to be more upbeat kind of festival vibe. So I think they are going to play songs from the new album as well. And so, I mean, we've also seeing that Sammy is recording. I wasn't sure if he was going to record any vocals for this, but I thought maybe they would just do it after the tour. So he and Taekyum have both been saying on Bubble that they are trying very hard to get a second single out before the tour kicks off on June
and that's
5th.
That's what they've got to do. If they're going to play anything new, they've got to get that single out. And I hate to say it needs to be out by the end of next week.
I think it's going to be Utopia. And actually, I kind of feel like from what we've heard, it could be a great opener for the concert.
It could be. But I think if they're suddenly going to drop it, it's got to be quick and it's got to be precise and everything else. Um, so, but I think that's possibly all we will get, unless of course they do. Would you like to hear a new song and throw one in? It's unusual for a band to debut a song actually at a tour, mainly because you don't know how the audience is going to react. So it might fall completely flat.
But I think this is, I mean, I think what you're saying is absolutely true in most cases. I think this is kind of unique. The reason why is, one, they should have had an album out by
Mm,
now, right? And it's because of Sam's voice problems that they couldn't. Two, they've almost played every song but one song. Threshold is the only song they haven't played yet for us from the album. So they've
mm,
already been previewing snippets for us. So I think they are. I think they are going to absolutely play more than just Blue Moon and, Utopia or whatever second single they come out with. Um, I know that they have also said they kind of want to do something before where they can share either the lyrics with us or maybe sit
yeah,
down and play some of the masters or demos or something for us. So I think they're going to try to plan something before the tour kicks off just to give
yeah,
us more exposure. But I think this is going to be a unique experience, but I think they're going to play new music that maybe we haven't fully heard.
possibly. But bear something in mind. That band never plays a 2 hour set. So even if we go through and they just play the hits, they're not going to be able to play a lot off the new album. I mean they know that they're probably going to have to play Blue Moon because of the connotations attached to it. They might be able to throw one or two in there. I don't think they they never play a long enough set to actually play the gamut of what they need to play. And my only other thought, and I'd love this personally. I would love this if they did something like they did for Chicago Lollapalooza, the after show party, where they literally went on stage and
Mm.
just went, throw up, what songs do you want to hear? And they played them. That would be amazing. Even if it is just literally a section, and because that's proper fan
Mhm.
service to be able to do that, and especially as they're going into their actual hiatus. I don't know whether they'll do that or not, because you've got to have a full command and be able to, because we know they're going to have all the backing tracks just in case Sammy is having any issues with his voice. So that's all got to be in
Mhm.
place. So you need somebody that you can trust to trigger all of that. And obviously we know for a fact that they've not got James with them. They might have a side of like an actual monitor engineer that they know that could trigger all of that type of stuff and get it ready to get it out. But I'd kind of be surprised. I can't see them playing a show that's 2.5 hour long, playing their entire catalogue. I mean, they're literally, it's like an hour and
Yeah,
10 minutes a lot of the time.
you said their shows are an hour and 10 minutes?
Yeah, they're not long shows. I mean, I'm used to going to shows and they're being like 2-3 hours.
Yeah, their world tour was not an hour and 10 minutes. It was definitely longer than
It
that.
was,
It was almost it was probably like an hour and 45, an hour
yeah,
and
but
50
come on, the
minutes.
dude spoke for at least 25 minutes of that. I mean,
Oh, I think they'll have Mets. And yeah,
They literally sat down
yeah,
and did
I'm
that.
used to
So
going
yeah,
I'm used to going to a lot shows where ments are extremely common, at least in the K-pop shows. Ments are
yeah.
very common for you to have that time to talk. And I
But I
think
mean,
they're gonna have ments because like we heard, they're gonna, I think, they're gonna be sentimental. Like I
yeah,
think they're
they'll
gonna
be,
kind of
yeah, of
take
course they
that
will.
walk down memory lane. I don't know about I think what does limit them is Sammy's ability and to sustain his voice for
Mhm.
something like over 2 hours. I think that would be, to me, like the reason why maybe they wouldn't do that long of a show, not necessarily that they just never do that long of a show, because now that their catalog has gotten deeper and deeper, they have more that they can do. I would love to see something like you just described that they did in Chicago at the
Yeah, I'd
Vic
love to
after
see that.
their Lollapalooza show. Even like you said, if it's just a little section.
Yeah.
I think what was so lovely about that was that it didn't have to be polished. They didn't have to have backing tracks. They did, and that's the thing that I kind of like love about them that is very different than other groups I've seen, is that they don't feel like their live show has to be perfect and polished like you would see with some of the other artists that I've personally gone to see.
Yeah,
So
I
I
mean
don't think they would worry that much about having to have all of these polished backing tracks. But
I'm
yeah, I
saying
think that's a phenomenal idea.
I'm saying the backing tracks basically to help bolster Sammy's voice so he's not got to sing with full power. That's kind of why I
Yeah, and I
think the
think
backing
that's
tracks are
where
going to do.
Hajun
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where Hajun and Taekyum could come in and be able to maybe step up and sing more in that little section if they did that.
Yeah.
Back to the set list, I have kind of two more things, and I'll see if there's anything else you want to share in your theories. I absolutely hope we get the original version of The Definition of Ugly Is with
Yeah.
Sammy's guitar solo. I'll be honest, for pure selfish reasons, because I have never seen that version. It is my ultimate favorite, the Rose song, and I can't fathom them going on hiatus and me never getting to see that again, as much as I loved the acoustic version. And then I actually think if there's anywhere they will trim, I think they'll trim songs from World
Mm,
personally.
I do.
I think the main ones we're going to see from World is probably Slowly, Nebula, and O.
Yeah, I agree with you there, to be honest. I think they'll trim a lot of World, especially if they wanted to do more of a festival vibe. So if you look at
Mhm.
what they would generally play for a festival show, it tends to be more high energy anyway, because you've got to capture your audience, you've got to keep them enthralled. So I think slowly, because it's such a fan favorite, obviously Nebula as well. Again, I hate to say it, but I think O and Wonder are a little bit too similar in a way.
Mm,
So
I could see
actually,
that.
for me, one of those might get the chop, unless you put it sort of, because
Mm,
they're both kind of finisher songs. They're both
yeah.
kind of crescendo songs, but I think Wonder has more of a it has more of a celebratory feel to it. You could tell when O
Mm,
was played, and I hate to say this, especially at Stanford, because I was kind of amazed by it, and I was like, "This is the last song, folks," and people were just sort of sat there, and I was like, "No, seriously, this is the last song." Nobody could get the head round the fact that that's how they were finishing that show. So it kind
mhm.
of ended on a bit of a damp squib in the audience, because I mean, we'd got some guys sat behind us. They were like, "One more song." It's like, dude, seriously, they've gone. That's it. There's no more songs. That was the last track.
So when you went to Dawn Before Dusk, did they do an encore?
No.
And I think they did in their previous shows, because you can tell when they come out, a lot of times in the encore, they're wearing the tour t-shirts.
Yeah.
Um, like they've changed. So it would be interesting. I would love for them to do an encore now, kind of bring that back
Yeah.
into this. I
But
like your thought process though. What song won't make the cut? I hadn't really thought of that.
yeah. Because there's a lot of songs that are very similar, and they're very
Mm,
similar pitches, and they're very similar
yeah.
keys. And then when you start moving them around the set list, it's a bit, yeah, got to be careful, because the set
Yeah, it's
list,
gotta be so hard.
yeah, because the set list basically you want it to start with a level. It's either got to creep in and be kind of eerie, and that kind of pulls you in. But they're not that type of band. You tend to get that more with like shoegaze indie and things like that. and that kind of drags you into it. Whereas they want to kind of start with a punch because they're that type of pop rock band. That's kind of what they've got to do. So because you started up there, that means you've got to sustain that for at least 15, 20 minutes before you're allowed to drop back down. And it depends how they drop back down, whether they drop into a ment to pull it back down, or whether or not they drop into a song that pulls it back down and then go into a ment, and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's hard picking a set list. It's very hard picking a set list and getting
Especially
it the
as you
right way
get a deeper
round.
discography.
Yeah, and I mean,
Like
we don't
once
even know whether or
yeah.
not they're going to have covers in there as well, because I mean, covers form a lot of their history, musical history as well.
Their early stuff, yeah, for sure, for sure. They haven't really done that in a long time,
No.
because they haven't had to, because they've had so deep of their own songs. Yeah, I was thinking definitely a lot I could see from World not making the cut. I mean, poor Angel. Can we please resurrect Angel though, guys? God, did you guys only play that song on the Dawn to Dust tour just because it was that album you were toting?
And
Like, do people not even remember that exists?
I don't even. I really love that song. I don't think it'll make the cut.
I don't think it will either, but I do love that.
No,
Okay, here we go, Rose. If you are listening, you want to blow everybody's fucking socks off, play Strangers.
Jesus Christ, I would actually lose my mind if they did, because that, as you know, is pretty much one of my favourite tracks. They will never fucking play it. They freely admitted when I can't even remember where we were. Was it in London? And it was the Q&A, and they went, "We can't even remember how it goes."
Yeah, it was also, I've got a clip of that actually. I'm thinking which show it was, where a mom was there with her son and they asked about the production of whether something was synthetically created or whether it was a voice. And Sam was like, I don't know, like we didn't write that song, like we just basically like sang it. And then he's like, wait, I pull that song out, I'm gonna listen and answer this for you. And then it was so funny because he was like, damn, this is kind of a good song.
It's a very good song.
Like, yes.
It's a very, very, very good song. Yeah. But yeah,
we'll know if the Rose is listening, if that makes it onto the set list.
It won't make it onto the set list. We know it won't make it onto the set list. That song will never be played again.
Let's go into the theories. So Imagine_Boca from IG said my mantra, Hajun will sing more. I don't know if that'll really happen, but I will, have my sign, more Hajun vocals. So we'll see. Christine Ellis from IG has said what we have said before. She thinks there's going to be oldies intertwined with new songs.
Yeah.
And Esther Crump Lido 0204 on TikTok. We got somebody actually responded on TikTok. Holy shit.
That's cool.
She's just so excited to see the Rose, but she hopes that they include Cosmo because she wants to jump like crazy. I feel like this whole kind of EDM festival vibe, Cosmo's definitely going to be in there, Esther. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to styling. Ooh, I have been just like wondering so much what the whole style is going to be. So Kelly, let's have you start. What do you think? How are they going to look?
I think it's just going to be more of the same. I hate to say it. I don't think it's.
What does more of the same mean? Like world?
I don't think it's going to be a drastic deviation from the styling of World, to be honest. I think it's probably going to be more of the same. I don't think we're suddenly going to see them come out dressed in leather jeans and leather jackets pretending to be Marlon Brando or anything like that. I don't think any of that's going to happen. I think it's just going to be, how do I describe it? A slightly more dressed up casual rock vibe, I think. I mean, it would be lovely to see them go back to the days of Roy's styling, but I don't think that's happening. And if it's Clive, I hate to say it, I think it might just be whatever's available from whatever designer is what they're going to get.
So I disagree a little bit. I don't think this is World. I think World had a very particular aesthetic to it, and I don't see that being where they're going to go with Rosetopia. Like the cozy sweaters and just kind of some of that like color palette, I guess that they did like it was casual, but it was like cozy casual, kind of fit that like intimate vibe they created
I think
with
I was
World.
probably, I
I
think for me, I was probably thinking more like Rabbit to the Moon, that type of look.
so yeah,
That's
that's not World to me, I
well,
guess.
no, but for me, that was the start of the world journey for me as such. So I mean, for me, that's kind of, but I kind of class what they were wearing. If you look at what Dojun was wearing, it was kind of, it had got that similar vibe. It was that very sort of comfortable. I mean, we called it soccer dad, and I mean, I hate to say it, other than the
Yeah.
Elton John denims at one point, it was kind of along that vibe.
So he looked very different than everybody else, though. Like,
Yeah.
I think everybody else at Rabbit to the Moon was very like 90s kind of grunge, inspired.
Mm.
And that's a little bit more where I was going. Like, I'm thinking, so let me share my screen. So Sammy posted a pic on Bubble of his hair. And it totally kind of had me going with this back to me music video kind of vibes, maybe a little pop punk, maybe a little 90s grunge. Like I think it's casual. I don't think they're doing the Roy back
Mm.
styling. I think it is probably Clive. And I mean, literally, some of this might not even be designers, but I could see them pulling out of their own closet if they could make it float, to be kind of honest. Like, I'm not going to lie. But I
Honestly,
don't know, something about his
I,
hair made me totally feel like it was this. I was totally taken to the Back to Me music video.
I'm not even mentioning the hair, to be perfectly honest, other than the fact it looks like it needs a wash. But anyway, what I was going to say is I think a lot of what sort of Clive does with the stylings is I think that there's a lean towards sort of designer samples as such, which is why I think we sometimes frequently get ladies' clothes thrown in there as well, because it's what's available as an actual sample. So I mean, we saw Wu Sung's wardrobe pick up on a lot of these being sort of adapted ladies' clothes, shall we put it that way? I
Well,
think it might be
I
more of the
think
same.
Sammy in particular, he's always worn women's blouses and things like that in the past.
Mm.
So, yeah, I don't know that that's necessarily a Clive thing, but I kind of see what you're saying. Why don't you go into what some of the theories were that our followers, one from actually Wu Sung's wardrobe, actually.
There you go. So, Wusung Boomerfest on IG, which is the best name ever. I predict one of them will be shirtless.
I thought that was hilarious.
I don't know what shows you're going to. I mean, I'm used to men being on stage shirtless, but trust me, that I'm not going to say it because that's just mean. Ruby Benny on
If it's a
IG.
festival, I can see that, but not indoors.
I no, I no, I don't want to see that. No. Anyway, Ruby Benny on IG said Sammy is red. I think that's possibly
Oh, in red. Sorry, that was a
yeah.
typo.
I'm going to say I
Sammy
think
in red.
possibly Sammy in red.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to happen at some point. That is pretty much his thing. And Wu Sung's wardrobe, our lovely Cheryl said, "Please kindly take note, Clive, and no pussy bow blouses and ruffles." I mean, the pussy bow blouse we know is very much a Roy thing. That's one of Roy's favourites. But I mean, at the time, that leaned very heavily towards what was happening with Dior and style houses like that. It was all very much a sort of 70s feminine take on masculinity. So it's kind of gone out of fashion. I think we're safe. I think we can ignore the pussy bow blouses now. I think but I don't know whether or not we'll escape any form of ruffles.
Told you in that sweater. Remember you said that in our Into the Wardrobe episode. You were like, I think it looked like a net. What did you say? Like the you said that you had a little sweater like that when you were like 8 or something.
It's a type of thing that you used to, it's like you're going to a christening, so you'd have your little Sunday dress on and a little white cardigan with the ruffles on, and yeah, and your little patent shoes. No, let's not go there. No, if we can avoid that,
See,
that'd be great.
I know, yeah.
No,
it's so funny.
All
right, we're gonna round it out with merch ideas. I'm thinking a lot of things because it's Rosetopia. I feel like there's going to be a lot centered around using a rose in the different graphics. I think some of the items, they're going to have pins, keychains again. They always tend to do some sort of like scarf or kind of banner.
For the love of God, can we make the scarf bigger? If we have a scarf, gentlemen, which they will have already done, but can we make it bigger? You do these little farting things, and the only thing I can actually do with this scarf is tie it around my head like a 1950s housewife. Not really my vibe. I love a bit of gothabilly, but it doesn't quite go with the aesthetics because it's the wrong colour. But no, can't we just make them bigger? Make them wearable.
I know they do. Yeah, they do need to make it bigger so you can actually wear it. I put mine really cute on my purse, and then it slipped off because it's silk and I lost it.
Oh no.
So I stopped doing that. I know. It made me very sad.
That's kind of crap.
I'm all about a tote bag. Again, the Rose, if you're listening, Hajuni, who's doing the merch buddy, if there's still time to sneak something in, I know it's, counting down 2 weeks, but dude, can we get a tote bag again?
There's no time. This stuff's already done. It should be already on its way to wherever.
I know. I would love a tote bag. I think the colors are going to kind of be pastel. I love this use of this font. They call it Ransom Note. It's what the Rosetopia font has been in their posts on IG. I think that's going to be used on the tour t-shirts, which I really kind of like. And then I'm wondering if they're going to create something kind of special that, again, when we're talking about this walk down memory lane that kind of outlines the history of their eras, maybe, or something like that. Any thoughts from you, Kelly, on merch?
To be perfectly honest, I don't really want to say it. I always find their merch really disappointing. And that sounds horrid of me to say, but I do. I always kind of want more from them. So I think I don't know whether it's kind of a K-pop thing that they kind of stick to these sort of set things for their merch. Obviously, the stuff that you get in the VIP boxes and things like that are lovely. But I think general merch could be better. Generally speaking, you've got a t-shirt and a hoodie with the same print. Normally, you've got a couple of different prints if you're lucky. They may have the perfume there. I know a lot of the people want the perfume. I've heard so many people say, God, I hope they've got the perfume with them. Because they're all starting to panic now. So they're all wanting to bulk buy the perfume.
I know. I'm thinking about doing that.
But yeah, I do. I kind of find, because I'm obviously from a very different world. So I'm used to going to shows where you literally walk in and the merch just covers an entire wall. I mean, you've literally got a run, so you've got a choice of like 15 t-shirts and all this and the other. And these, a lot of the time, they're not even big bands, because that's how a lot of the bands make the money, through the merch. But I mean, there could be jackets that, there's so many things that they could do that would be branded and people will love. But I think you're right. I think we're literally looking at a hoodie, a t-shirt, pins, possibly a tote bag if we're lucky, and the scarves again. Which is, I just kind of wish they'd do a little bit more. I really do.
Yeah, we'll see. Some of the ideas from IG, Simone_78T on IG. She thinks the colors are going to be red, blue, kind of sky blue. That kind of goes into that sky blue to me. I think we've seen that in some of the designs that Hajun's put out for Blue Moon thumbnail. Joyce from TikTok. Here's another TikTok. Joyce from TikTok, let me tell you, girl, you had all kinds of really interesting theories. Logo design theories, she said. Crescent moon with clouds, a glowing moon with sparkles. I really liked that. She thinks the color palette's going to be midnight blue, baby blue, silver. Some merch ideas, holographic stickers, tote bags, and beanies. I loved this idea of a beanie. I don't know if they've done a beanie before.
No, I think we've seen trucker caps and that's about it.
Yeah, they've had like the trucker cap of that, well, I don't know if that was tour merch necessarily, but like the cap for World wasn't a trucker hat, but it was just kind of that cap style. I think the heel era had what was that? A better day is tomorrow is waiting for you.
I can't think of that. Don't they? Trucker baseball style cap. Yeah, they never really have anything else. And
a beanie would be cool.
A beanie would be very. I mean, actually, I might even buy something if they'd got a beanie, or in fact a tote bag. But to be perfectly honest, seeing as they never do anything like that, they probably won't be getting any money out of me again.
So they did a tote bag for heel. I've got one of those. And then I know Woo-sung's done tote bags in the past for his solo stuff. So I kind of felt like it'd be time for them to do a tote bag. All right. I've got one more off the wall kind of random theory. But before I share mine and we wrap up, do you have any off the wall kind of just random theories you want to share that maybe isn't related to the topics we picked?
I mean, it would be nice to think that they might be able to pull out some special guests along the way as it's prior to hiatus. So that could be interesting. The worst thing is I don't necessarily think we're going to see it in America or Europe. So this might happen for some of the festivals, or to me, there's got to be one final show. And because nothing's been announced, something's got to happen at some point, I think, a little closer to home. And I think
love this idea.
I think that's where you'd get a special guest.
Who do you think a special guest, like who would you want to see?
Yeah, so maybe somebody like James Reed would be good, but obviously, I mean, he's going to mainly be probably in Asia or something like that.
You know, the funny thing with him is it's like, you know, sorry, James Reed, if you ever listen to this podcast, I'm sure you don't even know we exist. But no offense to you, buddy, but get the hell out of here. I don't want you singing Yes. I want Mahajuni singing Yes. This is my only chance for Mahajuni vocals, and you can't just be taking Mahajuni's part here, James Reed. Sorry, sir. Sorry. Oh, Trevor Daniel. Is that his name from Angel?
Trevor Daniel, yeah.
Okay, Trevor, where are you right now, buddy? Let's get you out of retirement, get you on stage. Pull that song Angel out from there. Okay, here's my off-the-wall theory that if this shit comes through, I don't know, I'll have to do a mic drop or something. But the guys keep saying that, like you said, they're doing stuff in Asia. There's going to be something in Korea, but nothing's been announced yet. I do find it a little strange that it seems like it's taking so long to kind of finalize these shows, particularly in Korea. Now, Sammy said something in an update on Bubble, and it got my spidey senses tingling. So he's talking about the Korea show, and he used the word secret. He said something related to the Korea show is a secret. And then he said, quote, last time we said we would do it, but couldn't because of the circumstances. But this time, since we're handling it ourselves directly, we'll make it happen. That is his translation from, he said it in Korean. Now, he could certainly just be talking about more shows in Asia that aren't festivals. So if we all remember, that was some criticism from Black Roses across Asia last time for the world tour, that yes, they got lots of festival shows, but they never got the actual world show on the tour, because it's very different than their festival set. So he could be referring to the fact that they're going to have shows for the Rosetopia tour that aren't just festivals. But I personally think that they're planning something extra special for Korea. And my off the wall theory, and I will perfectly put this out here, this is my own theory. This is my own speculation. The Rose has not said anything. This is not substantiated. But I think they're going to do a dinner, just like Woo-sung did on his Before We Die tour that he did in New York and LA, where fans can buy a ticket. You have an opportunity to sit down with the band, have more of a personalized interaction for several hours with the band, have a meal together, and so forth. So I think that's what they're going to be trying to plan in Korea as like the last kind of send off for, before their hiatus. So that is my crazy theory. So we'll see if I'm totally absolutely wrong.
Because I know actually while we were in LA at the Wolfpack meal, he did sort of say, quite like to do this with the band. So, I mean, it's obviously something he's floated around in his head.
Yeah, he always says he likes to pilot things with the Woo-sung brand because it's less risk. He can see if it is well received or not. Those dinners were very well received.
Yeah.
And actually, Taehyum has said in the past, he actually said during the time they were promoting Heel that he would love to do some sort of dinner with fans at some point. So I think there's a lot of interest, and it kind of would make sense that something like that logistically may be why it's taking a lot longer to kind of make these last set of announcements. So we'll see. All right, let's wrap up with a prediction by one of our followers on IG, Hot Vicky. She is an avid follower. We even pulled her into a live stream, Kelly, that we did. She was a lot of fun. Shout out to Vicky. Hopefully you're listening. I think, Vicky, you put it best and a perfect way to end today. She says, I predict an epic show and the time of my life, not forgetting the dancing till I drop and singing and shouting till I no longer have a voice. And that is how we'll end it. I'm sure the Rosetopia tour is going to be epic. I cannot wait. Tickets are selling out fast. So if you have not gotten tickets yet and you're able to go, definitely check out Powerhouse Entertainment's website. We'll have that linked in the episode description so you can get tickets. We are going to be on tour. I am going to all 4 of the US shows. Kelly, say which shows you're going to in Europe.
Berlin and London.
Yeah, so if you're at one of those shows, please come find us, check us out. We're going to have K-Rock Cast freebies. We may be resurrecting K-Rock Cast on the street. You never know. Get some interviews, talk to you. So we'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.